What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Johnny, back in here with one more reaction video, ladies and gentlemen. And today, I think y'all gonna enjoy this one. It is titled, "Is Hip Hop Culture Destroying Our Youth and Our Communities?" I don't think I know how the masses feel about this, but we're gonna let the video play, and then I'll drop my 2 cents on top. If this is your first time to the channel, welcome. As I like to say, we are just spirits encased in human flesh, really trying to figure out this thing called life. So if you like what you hear in this video, share it far and wide.
I'm stoner, 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 I'm stoner.
That guy, Young Thug, is one of the biggest names in hip-hop, which many fans say is more than music. Hip-hop is often described as a culture that started about 30 years ago, born of the need for urban young people to share their experiences and how they felt about them. But a lot of people, including yours truly, believe that that music, the majority of it, that we consider hip-hop today has run so far off the rails to the point where many believe that it is destructive and creating destructive behavior. Well, that's my opinion, so that's why we invited the experts, those that understand it probably better than I could ever understand it. To talk about this thing called hip-hop today is Dwayne Michael.
Yes.
Dwayne, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Founder of Should Could Dream Tour.
Yes.
And student activist Colin Burge. You saw him in our Your Voice inaugural show. Colin is, among many things, Mr. Black Student Union at the University of Maryland and chair of the membership committee of the NAACP's University of Maryland College Park branch. Listen, let's get this out the way. We know there are a few of them that produce good rap music,
yes.
good lyrics,
A lot of them.
good
Yes.
values,
Yes.
good virtues. That's not what we're talking about
Yeah.
today because they're in the minority.
Yes.
Talk about this music and the impact that it's having.
It can have a terrible impact if used the wrong way. But if it's used in a positive way, like what we do with our Should Could Dream Tour, you can inspire a whole nation to work hard, never settle, dream big, and to accomplish extraordinary success.
That's another show. Tell us how it's used bad so we can learn, parents and young people, the dangers and what you can become if you don't really understand it. If you don't have somebody at home saying, while you listen to this, don't become this.
Yes.
Talk about that.
Well, hip-hop, in a sense, they're just actors. And I feel as though that they're just putting on a front sometimes to just prove their point.
Right there. You could turn the video off after that. Hip-hop is just actors. Tupac said the hardest part about being a rapper is that you had to train yourself to be in character at all times. But Lil Baby makes us think he really Lil Baby. Quavo is really Quavo. They really about that life. But if we haven't seen anything, is that Nip, Pop Smoke, PNB Rock, nothing positive comes from really being about that life at all. Unless you want people to have t-shirts with your face on it. But you have to acknowledge the 100% truth. 51.5% of rappers die by homicide. The same way I'm sitting in front of a computer right now, they just got a beat behind them. How the Young Thug beat was playing, I could just start rapping. But as Proverbs 18:21 said, life and death is in the power of the tongue.
It's almost like in acting for a certain movie. Someone may play a role. And I feel as though that in the rap culture, a lot of these people are just playing certain roles. And those roles aren't being shown well. Like Young Thug is not a great representation of what hip-hop is. We just heard some of the things that he says. I'm a stoner. Terrible thing. We don't want to, encourage marijuana use. But that's just one individual who is playing a role that's not necessarily showing what we really are as people.
I have to push back on that. That is the entire mainstream hip-hop industry. And I remember when I was that way to say, but we got J. Cole and we got Kendrick Lamar and it's the positive rap out there. You can't blame, you know how hard it is to find positive conscience rap? You walk inside Starbucks, you're going to probably hear Cardi B. You cannot get away from this demonic music now. So it's up to us as creators to create different type of art. Because all we are is energy. But I ask, if you turn on your average radio station, if you go to Apple Music or Spotify, and you go to the top 10, 15 songs, are you consuming positive energy or are you consuming negative energy? Let me know in the comments.
You know, Colin, and I know you say colon, I find that interesting because I remember Snoop Dogg said once, yeah, I produced this, but I would never allow my children to listen to it.
Yeah.
Talk about this. Are they acting? It's good enough for the public, but not good enough for their own family members?
I would say they are acting.
Yeah.
And what I would say as a whole is that hip hop has a negative, overwhelmingly negative impact on young people,
Hey, I like him. I thought when he was a part of NAACP, he was gonna have a liberal agenda, but he is. Hey, shout out, bro. I had the wrong idea.
especially young black people, young black males in particular. The reason that it has an especially negative impact on young black males is that these hip hop artists are predominantly black. They're predominantly black males. And so these individuals, these young people, are most likely to personally identify with them. And so,
especially when you highlight the point that 80% of black children are growing up in fatherless homes. I've always said real privilege is growing up in a two-parent household. I didn't come from money. My parents wasn't the greatest people. They not the Obamas or the Cosbys or the Huxleys by any means, but I had a dope mama and daddy who, as ghetto as they was, got me out the hood, got me out to Section 8, and I'm living my best life now. Fatherhood is the greatest thing ever. If you don't have a father, I feel sorry for you, and I hope that you find a connection with your father above Jesus Christ.
the fast life that these rappers talk about a lot of times becomes a fantasy for these for these young people. And then when it becomes a fantasy, it turns into a reality. And then the fast life in reality, when you really do live it, a lot of times often means a fast death. Financially, economically, spiritually, emotionally, physically, and mentally. And therein lies the problem.
Yeah, but hey, bro, it's deep. Real life. I got over 50 friends that are in jail right now. Another 50 friends that have been murdered. My boy Fat Moan just went to jail 2 weeks ago for murder. My boy Sean is in jail right now doing life for killing one of his homeboys. My boy Cass is in jail right now for killing his baby mama and setting her on fire. And all of these men I went to elementary, middle school, and high school with, was kicking it with, laughing, hanging out with, had no idea that they was this dark on the inside. But they all came from single mother households. And while I'm not saying that's 100% the contributing factor of why they went off the rails, none of them had any positive male influence outside of what we seen on TV. And we all looked up to Lil Wayne, Jay-Z, Big Pimpin'. Tupac hit him up. Everybody shows us negativity, and then we go out and act on that negativity, and we have to deal with the consequences of it. That's why the culture has to change and the music has to change, because kids are looking up to the music consciously or unconsciously.
But I also want to say that I think that hip hop has done phenomenal things for race relations.
Agreed.
At the very same time. Because, it's very hard for, if you go to a Jay-Z concert now, 75% of the people are going to be white. So it brings people together at the same time. Music is the one international language that we all...
What I talk about on this channel, people, what I talk about, music is the one thing that unites all of us. We're not as divided as it seems. However, it's up to us to control what type of art we're putting out to the world. We have to be responsible with that. And that's why they catch them at 15, 16, 17 when they upload music on SoundCloud or YouTube. When they sign these contracts and they complain in 5, 6 years later that they in a bad deal. But music has evolved race relations more than anything else I could think of. Y'all can let me know in the comments. But whether it's a Chris Stapleton or Al Green or a Prince or Mike Jack or a Whitney Houston or a Justin Timberlake or a Bruno Mars, we all love dope music. You can throw some K-pop in there. You know what I'm saying? We got some Blackpink over in South Korea. Music unites all of us. We all come from the creator. We are not as divided as it seems. Stop letting our differences stand out and look for what we have in common and watch how we overcome. Watch how the human race evolves.
And that's interesting. You shaking your head. Tell us why.
I'm shaking my head for a number of reasons. First of all, I think when people argue that hip hop as a whole is good because by cherry picking the rare instances in which it does elevate our young people to a higher level of consciousness, to a higher level of social responsibility, I think that is the height of a disingenuous argument. It is akin to saying that crack cocaine is good for you because it gives you energy. Yes, it does give you energy, but when you do a holistic analysis of the impact of crack cocaine, the costs of smoking crack cocaine significantly outweigh any marginal benefit gained from increased energy. You see the promotion of misogyny. You see the promotion of violence. You see the promotion, in fact, of aggression. He talked about improving racial relations, but you actually see the promotion of aggression towards police officers. And sometimes when you listen to, for example, NWA back in the 1990s, they had a song called F the Police.
Man, he just came with the facts. I 100% agree with him. It did improve race relations, but it made everything else negative. It made everything else worse. Wow. 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 That was a great breakdown.
Now, how in turn does that inform the interactions that our young black males are going to end up having with police officers? And a lot of times what happens is ultimately there's an inflammation.
And that's why fathers are important, right? Is because my interactions with police officers never came through music. It came through my dad. My dad has been in and out of jail my whole childhood. He ain't been in jail in probably about a good 10 years now. Shout out to you, Pops. But what he told me when I was a kid, he said, Johnny, if you don't want to go to jail, don't do stupid stuff. It was just that simple. And I'm not perfect, right? Like I had fake Tim tags and been pulled over and they done snatched my fake Tim tags out of my car. My Aunt Barbara used to make fake insurance cards. I've been driving cars with no license. So I understand putting yourself in negative situations and you do have to deal with the consequences of those. But I was always taught never to be hostile, never be disrespectful. Get their badge number, come home and we handle it. But if you do listen to NWA, F the police, you're going to be a little aggressive. And they got a gun and you don't. So I think we know who's going to win that situation.
And racial tension, and there's an inflammation and tension between our young people and the law enforcement authorities that are supposed to be protecting their communities.
I want to see when we come back from our Up Next feature whether we have a little time to revisit this.Maybe not, but we'll see. Up next, our feature, Maurice Nix. Don't go away.
I'm going to have to see if I can find a full clip, and we're going to do a full reaction to that. But I like both sides of that discussion because I was born in '89, so hip hop was already established when I was around. So I can't really say what the morale of people was during that time, but I can say that Cash Money influenced me. No Limit influenced me. You know, Nelly influenced me. I remember the tip drill video being on. I remember Ludacris popping on a handstand. So the way I was taught to view women was through hip hop, and it wasn't a negative, derogatory way. I wasn't taught to value women at all. I had to learn that on my own once I became a father. But I think this is a discussion worth having and something that we as people can change, right? Because we sit down and we write our lyrics. And then we rap them over a beat. It don't have to be murder, killing, drilling. Because rappers are dropping like flies in 2022. That was before this video was even established. And I hope moving forward we get more rappers like Bryson, like Tyson, that rap with a open mind and conscience to how their music impacts the people around them. But as I say, man, a lot of these young rappers, they don't know the power of their words, of their lyrics. Because we're all just people. I didn't understand the power of the things that was coming out of my mouth or the way I was conducting myself. I would not be covered in tattoos. But I didn't understand how big a deal it was at 15, 16, 17. And so that's why I try not to criticize the youth for the bad decisions they make or the type of music they listen to, because I was once one of them. And there wasn't anybody that was saying, don't do this. Or maybe if they were saying it in a way that was falling on deaf ears. So I'm not trying to criticize or condemn. I'm just trying to show you a different route. And the road less traveled is always the road that probably gets you to where you want to go. But let me know what y'all think in the comments, man. Let me know what y'all think. I do agree that hip-hop did improve race relations, but I also agree that hip-hop destroyed everything else. Everything. But I don't know who you put that responsibility on, right? Because then you got in the situation with Kanye talking about with the contracts and the labels. I know back in the day, Too Short said he wanted to make positive music, and the label was like, nah, we don't want to hear nothing positive. Bone Thugs and Harmony has talked about that. Big Gipp and Ali. We've had a lot of artists, even Slim Thug right now is saying Kanye is right. So Prince, Mike Jack, they complained about contracts as well and the type of music and type of art they can create. So this thing gets deep, but God wins in the end. True self sets you free. And if you happen to be an artist, be mindful of what you put out into this world. Because it'll be around 10, 15, 20, 50, 100 years past you. We still can listen to Tupac Changes. We still can listen to Biggie Juicy. So whatever you put out into this world, understand that it will outlive you. Make sure it's something positive and beneficial to your people 20, 50, 100, 500 years from now. Till next time, we out here. Be the change you wish to see in the world. Never be too proud to pray. God wins in the end. Peace.